Man, they are so salty. We're going to talk about Lords of the Fallen and the head of the studio saying, the CEO of the studio saying that they're not going to integrate DEI into the game. And the gaming journos are so mad. They're so mad about this. Right? I mean, this is another blow against DEI. We have another video coming later today, I think, talking about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. And, I'll believe it when he actually does what he says he's going to do. Right. But this is another example of how DEI is just being roundly rejected and at a breakneck pace. Like, it is absolutely insane how many companies are all like, yeah, we're not doing any of that woke stuff. We're not doing it. They're all dropping it. And now it's starting to hit gaming too. Like, it hit regular businesses, the Walmarts and the John Deeres and the Targets and, the Budweisers and that. And then it and then it hit the Hollywood, I think, to some degree, and tech companies. Actually, I think tech companies might have been first. And now we're looking at the video games, which were a holdout. Now they're even like, yeah, we're dropping DEI. We're done because it's not profitable, guys. Look at some of the biggest failures of the year, and they're DEI infused video games. It's indisputable. I'm sorry if you don't like it. I'm sorry if you would like the games to be woker or more progressive, but gamers currently in this environment in 2025, especially after the election, especially, they're not having it. They're done. They're done with it. So it looks like the CEOs are starting to listen, and it's a good thing that they listen, because if they double down on calling gamers bigots and Nazis and racists and homophobes, nobody's going to buy their game. And they know it. Regardless of how they feel about political issues, nobody's going to buy their game. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, no woohoos. I guess a little bit of a woohoo because, the DEI beast has been slain, but Geeky's sitting this one out, guys. Go out to clownfishminus.com, help support the channel. Buy some merch. We got paywalled content out there. It's fun stuff. So yeah, this is kind of a big story here, right? We got multiple outlets covering it, and how they cover it depends on how they actually feel about it. Lords of the Fallen Studio CI Games will not integrate DEI elements into their games to maximize player enjoyment and commercial success, as WCCF Tech. Maybe we'll go out to that one. And then we're going to go to some of the detractors. So WCCF Tech. During an investor chat, the studio was asked about their stance on DEI in gaming. Global Marketing Director Ryan Hill confirmed that the studio remains committed to producing player-first video games that prioritize excellent user experience with compelling themes and characters created specifically for core and adjacent audiences. While some recent video games have taken the opportunity to implement social and political agendas within their experiences, Hill continued, the lower than expected commercial performance of some of these games shows that many players do not appreciate these elements. As such, the studio will continue to develop experiences that maximize player enjoyment and commercial success. Where's the actual quote? This is a PC gamer that's not real happy. Lords of the Fallen Studio embraces fear of the DEI boogeyman, says it will not include any social or political agendas in its games. CI Games apparently believes that inclusive games are a high risk of failure. Yeah, they are. And it's not just about being inclusive. It's the ham-fisted politics. It's the, you know what I'm saying? And then it's the same playbook. It's tiresome. It's so tiresome. Let's take a game franchise that has been successful. Let's change the lead. Let's change a bunch of things about it. Let's hire a bunch of people that aren't qualified to work on this franchise. And then we turn around and we call the gamers bigots and Nazis and homophobes if they don't like these changes that are clearly based in DEI ideology. I mean, look at what's going on with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They just keep kicking the can down the road, right? Because they know it's going to be a huge effing failure. They know it's going to be a disaster, and they can't afford for that game to be a disaster right now. They already had a huge disaster with Star Wars Outlaws, and gamers are rejecting it. And I'm not talking, the loud YouTubers, because they're going off, about Asmongold and Critical Drinker, and I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about normies that take a look at it and they're casually aware of the conversation around it. And even a normie's going to look at like a Tomb Raider game and be like, why is Lara Croft flat chested? Why all the women look like men? What's up with that? Why do we have a black lesbian in a wheelchair in 17th century Norway? No, I don't know about that last one, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a Netflix show. But yeah, they're going to look at it and be like, obviously this was just done for DEI points. So Lords of Fallen studio CI Games says it will not integrate any social or political agendas into its game because doing so incurs a high risk of commercial failure. This is a statement during the recent investors chat. They said excellent user experience with compelling thematics and characters created specifically for core and adjacent audiences, and then rolled into what would be called a pretty ill-informed take on the current state of the gaming industry. While some video games have recently taken the opportunity to embed social or political agendas within their experiences, it's clear that many players do not appreciate this. And as a result, we have seen a number of high-profile releases underperforming commercially during the last year alone. Our games will always be developed to maximize player enjoyment and commercial success, and as such, we will not be integrating any social or political agencies into these experiences going forward, having observed the high risk this can present. Hill didn't explain how exactly he or CI Games defines DEI, which has become shorthand slang for things I don't like among some parts of video game fandom, nor did he offer any examples of games that failed due to their social or political agendas. Concord and Dustborn are commonly held up as examples of such, but the reality is they're just two of literally thousands of games, 19,000 new Steam games alone in 2024 that failed to find an audience, they're saying. He did unfortunately lend credence to the ugly and patently false assertion that DEI is ruining gaming by, well, that's not really clear either. No, I'm telling you, what it is when DEI becomes the plot of the game. I don't think people have a problem with gay folks or black folks or whatever in a video game. I don't think people have a problem with that. They have a problem when franchises are being changed, right? Characters are being changed to meet obvious DEI mandates. They have a problem when you hire people that don't have any experience in gaming, like Assassin's Creed Shadows. Apparently, like half the team doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They've never worked on a game before, let alone a AAA title. Look what happened with Concord. A lot of DEI hires, and they had to spend another $200 million to fix the fuck-ups because these people didn't know what they're doing. That's what they have a problem with. And then when you call that out, when you call attention to it, and you're like, hey, something's off here. This feels very like not right. It's very uncanny valley. Like a dog knows when you're going to take him to the vet. They see the carrier. Oh, we're not going to the vet. We're going to grandma's house. Bullshit. The dog knows you're going to the vet because you don't get the carrier out when you're going to grandma's house, right? They know. You don't get the muzzle out or whatever when you're going to grandma's house. And it's the same with it. Oh, don't worry, guys. The game's totally fine. Just buy the game. Pre-order the game. When you play it, you can tell us what you think. When you give us your money, you can tell us what you think. Well, people now, they already know. They see the carrier. They see the muzzle. They know they're going to the vet to get neutered, right? Right? Last time they went to the vet, they came back without their balls. They know what's going to happen. So they're not going to give you their money. Right. So now it's almost like I feel like the opposite thing has to happen where a CEO of a company or whatever, if you want gamers to get on board because they're so gun shy, you have to flat tell them, like, don't worry, guys, this game's not woke. It's just a fun game. We're not injecting it with a bunch of DEI talking points or whatever. Because before it was like if you push back on that at all, you had the media, all these media outlets, you're a bigot, you're a Nazi, you're a homophobe. So tiresome. And people are over it. Now anymore, I think a lot of people are just like, even if I agree with your talking points to some degree, even if I agree with maybe some of the more progressive themes to some degree, I'm not even going to give your game a chance because that is going to be the plot of the game. That's going to be it. And the whole story about this game isn't going to be the game itself. It isn't going to be the gameplay. It's going to be the DEI crap around it. And you know what? I can go back and play Grand Theft Auto 5. I can go play Fortnite. I can go play Minecraft. I can go play literally anything else and not have to deal with this shit. And I'll wait and see if the game's any good, right? And then I'll wait until it goes on sale because I know if the game isn't that great or a lot of people don't buy it at launch, I can get it for like $20, a couple months or even a couple weeks in some cases. That's what they're doing. Oh my God, this is so weird. Doesn't matter, says PC Gamer. As a hot button buzzword among angry reactionary gamers, the DEI boogeyman doesn't need a definition It just needs to stir up lizard brain emotions on the way to generating views. They are afraid of YouTubers. Right? We did the video yesterday. They've come out. The developers are afraid of YouTubers. They're afraid that there's going to be a hate brigade against their game. But I'm like, don't be afraid of the YouTubers. The YouTubers are giving a voice to the consumers. You need to be afraid of the consumers. Because if you lose them, if you lose the normies, I mean, YouTubers come and go, podcasters come and go, platforms come and go, news sites come and go. You lose your most dedicated players. They're not going to come back. It's almost impossible to get them back. And we've seen multiple examples of this with a lot of different franchises, video games, comic books, Star Wars. You know, once you lose the normies, they don't come back. They've moved on to something else. And if you chase them off preemptively, you're done. You're dead in the water. Well, some of these other idiotic headlines here. The Gamer, CI Game says it won't integrate social and political elements into its game because it hurts sales. Well, it does. I'm sorry, it does, Gamer. Is this Stacy? No, this is George. It does. There are so many examples of this. Right? Wow, I don't think he went as hard. He didn't go as hard in the paint. He didn't go as hard in the paint as they did on PC Gamer. He said that, yeah, it says likely a nod to targets like Concord and Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, despite the big issues affecting those games being far from their inclusion of diversity. Didn't help any. I mean, it certainly didn't help. Like, you can get away with it if the game is good, but if the game is bad and you throw that on top of it and then you use that as a shield, that's all anybody talks about. Well, the bigots are mad. They didn't play it because the bigots are mad. And then it's like, oh, it's a vocal minority screaming. Well, which is it? Is it there were enough bigots to tank your game sales, or the bigots are a vocal minority, or normies took a look at this game and ran the other way for whatever reason? So this is the Lords of the Fallen CEO responding and said they're going to look into body type A and body type B. Now, this is like a more recent thing, body type A and B. We don't have male and female, and even games like Power World have body type A and B. And we did a video talking about Dragon Quest III and the changes there that they were going to do like body type A and B. And in a new game, like I personally don't really care that much. I kind of expect it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's kind of whatever. I don't really care. When you go back and retcon something from the 80s or 90s and add body type A and B and then, you know, change the design of the characters to reflect that, then yeah, it's kind of like, okay, this is kind of dumb. And there's a whole conversation around that. But yes, this is Marek Tominsky. He said they're going to look into it. This is coming from Grums. This is Aron Darklord. Says, I'm very glad and relieved to hear this. But if it's so, I think there is one element of Lords of the Fallen 2023 you should take a look at: the use of body type A and body type B in character creation in place of what they actually are, male and female. He said it's a good point. We're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. So yeah, it sounds to me like a lot of these companies are going to walk it back completely. Now, you still have to deliver a good game. That's the thing. Like, you can take the wokeness out of the game, but if the game sucks, then the game sucks, right? And you can only get so far. What was that called? War bonds, I guess he's been calling like comic books. He's been calling them war bonds now. People that buy crowdfunded YouTuber comics that don't actually read them. And that kind of happens, I think, with video games too, and with other media too. People buy it and they're not actually fans of it. They're only buying it because it's not woke. I mean, it's good for business, right? It's great for business. Like, a sale's a sale, right? What somebody does with it after they buy it, who gives a shit? But you know, at the end of the day, like, the game still has to be good, right? And that's the same with the DEI stuff too. You can shove DEI into a game, but if the game sucks, you know, guess what people are going to blame, right? There does seem to be a correlation between games that focus heavily on DEI and sales. I'm just going to leave it at that. And you can do some research into that. And I'm not talking indie titles or niche titles or whatever. I'm talking AAA titles that focus heavily on DEI, and who, you know, have gone out of their way to antagonize existing gamers and yada, yada, yada. They don't sell. They don't sell. So if you want to make money, just be normal. That's all you got to do. Just go back to making games for everybody, right? And look, there are all kinds of games for all kinds of people, but just realize statistically, you need to make games appeal to everyone. Right? That's what you got to do. So I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.